it under, let's say, J1 Scholar initial request, okay? And then when the scholar, when you go in, you would actually be clicking on the grouping, even if it's just a single form. A good example of that is I built an early termination form, which is only one form, but you have to then build an early termination group to put it in so that it will actually appear. It's a weird oddity that I haven't really figured out. So the other thing that you will need to do to configure this, the application areas. Okay, so you need to tell Synapsis, where is this eForm going to be displayed? Who is it going to be displayed for? This is not a form for your clients at this point. It's not a form for, you know, new people that are coming. It's only going to be a form for your administrators and departments. So we are only going to check that. Okay, so it's only going to appear there. It's not going to appear for anyone else. Okay, so next thing, and this is where we get into very simple form design. Okay, and this is kind of like, you know, I think Jody's mentioned that we're going to kind of do some homework assignments. And this is a really great homework assignment to get familiar with how you build the eForms, is to learn to build a simple form. So I'm going to show you very basic, the different types of fields that you can build and how to do that. And that may take us through 245. And let me preface this by saying, now, have any of you, do you have experience building electronic forms and other formats by any chance?
No.
No? Okay. Some of that information, knowledge would be transferable. So this will all be new, okay? So what you notice here is that you have client form design, you have a second approver form design, and internal office use form design, okay? In every case, you will always be creating a client form. That is, consider that your primary form. If you then have a form that has to be approved by somebody else, which we call the second approver, which I've demoed in our eForms, you would also have to build a form for that person, right? They're going to be connected. If you then have a process where, you know, maybe on the finances form, you do 4 or 5 points of verification, and you want a record that the advisor who created this DS 2019 did each of those points of verification for that form. You can create also an internal office form that is attached to that primary form for review. Okay, but don't worry about that stuff now. This is more just for information. We're not going to really build any of those. What we're going to do is we're going to focus on just the basic form fields, okay, in a client form. So first thing we need to do is to add a field, and you're always going to do that by clicking on your little box here with a green cross, add form field. So you see there, we got field 1, untitled field. So one little nice trick, if you want to, it's really nice when you're thinking about forms to think about breaking up the information in chunks. It helps keep people from missing information. You know, if you want to build this form, like your internal DS 2019 request, as a single form, you definitely, you know, you may want to have these breaks. So if you do 3 dashes, and let's say the first part of the form for you is biographical information. Okay. Now, this is a type of field where we're not actually gathering any information. It's simply almost like a header. Okay. So the one thing we need to come down here, and you'll see down below, is that we actually have some fields that help us configure the field. So we want this field to actually be informational display only, which means we're not gathering any information in this field. We simply want it to display. Okay, so if I do this, and let me show you a nice little feature here that can be helpful while you're building this. You have this little preview button here with the magnifying glass. If you click that, you can automatically preview what you just built. So what you see here is that I just added the heading biographical information. and it put a nice little line above and below. So it's a nice break, okay? So next field, let's say we want to do, and you'll see sometimes it replicates the information from the previous field. Maybe you want to use, you know, last name as appears in passport or something, okay? We come down here to configure the field, and actually it defaults to text field, which means we want the client to put this information in as text, okay? And if you use a text field, they can put in numbers or letters, okay? The maximum length of form value means that they can put in up to 50 characters. If you think someone might have a last name that's longer than 50 characters, you could certainly, you know, change that, whoops, to 75, for example, if you wanted, okay? Okay, and so maybe then let's put in, you know, first given name or whatever. We keep that as a text field, okay? We'll keep it, the form field value is 50. 50 is usually adequate for most. One thing, and actually if I scroll down here a little bit, one thing I failed to show you is that if you want to make sure that a field gets completed on this form before it's submitted, you will require it, okay? Which I didn't do on this last one either. So you probably want to do that for a lot of the fields that you're building, because you want to make them all go into, you know, I'm going to go ahead and change this for a second, actually. I don't want to mess things up here for them. Okay. Okay, so we've done last name, first name. We'll add middle name for kicks, and then we're going to go on to date of birth, okay, because that's a different type of field. And now we want to do date of birth. What's nice about this is that we have a field called date. So we're going to change the type of field to date. And the nice thing about that, as you're going to see here, is that it's going to prevent our, excuse me, the issue that we deal with a lot is the transposing of month and day. So it's going to actually specify, you know, submit the month, submit the day, and then the year of your birth, okay? We can limit, obviously, you know, we would not, no one who's, you know, requesting documents is going to have a birth date of 2035. We can use some functionality, which I can show you at a later date, to limit the potential birth dates that they could use so that you couldn't get, you know, you could still get an error, but you know, the chances of an error would be greatly reduced, okay? All right. So let's say now, what do we want to do? Let's say we want actually to do gender. Okay, and remember, gender is something that we also are going to be importing into CBIS, right? So Synapsis actually has configured tables that are already sort of pre-configured to feed into CBIS. So rather than having the client, you know, type in my gender is male, what we want to do in this case is we want to use what we call a drop-down list. Okay, and now I'm going to introduce you to this, the difference between using a predefined list and a custom list. The predefined lists are basically all the tables that Synapsis has in their system. Okay, and what you're going to see is that we have one down here for genders. And in those cases, it is preferable, because this is something we want to transfer right to the DS 2019 information. When we do that, if we want it to work properly and transfer that properly, we should go ahead and use these drop-down lists that they have provided. Okay, so they've got them for like genders. They have it for, you know, for when it comes to dependent, whether it's a spouse or a child. etc. So those will be something that you would just get familiar with. Again, we want to require that. Okay. Another good example would be, let's say, country of citizen. Well, actually, why don't we do country of birth? Okay. This is another example where you want to use a predefined synapsis table. So again, you come here to the drop-down list. Okay. And we're going to come down again to the predefined list. And we're going to find countries. And you see we have country information, birth, country information, citizenship. Country information birth essentially includes those countries that may no longer be in existence, but for which a scholar could have been born in. So you would want, like, they might have been born in the USSR, for example. So you would want to use the country information, okay? And we'll take a quick peek just to show you what happens, what magic happens when you put that in, is that the countries are automatically populated. Their choices are automatically populated, okay? So you see USSR is still on there. So on the country of citizenship, it is not. Yeah?
I think I'm not sure, but I think you were meaning for us to see a different screen when you did like
oh gosh, it popped out again. Google. Yep, let me show you.
Out into space.
This is I'm going to email Google right after we get off this call.
I think I'm going to go down there. I'm going to drive down there next meeting, and I want them to sit with us and fix all the problems.
Those are the problem that we have. Okay, can you see this now?
Yep.
How do you?
Okay, great.
Remind us how you see that again. What did you click on?
Yeah.
The menu.
So I will tell you now, and then I will review it when we get back to the module, so I don't have to switch screens again. But there is a little icon at the top of the eForm with a magnifying glass. And if you hover over it, it will actually say preview. So that's how you can constantly be reviewing what your form is looking like as you're building it. Okay. So as you see, our gender has appeared, options have appeared automatically. Country of birth have also appeared automatically, including our beloved USSR, which is not on your current list of countries of citizenship, for example. Okay. So these are from your predefined lists. You do have some that are related specifically to DS 2019 and CETUS related fields that you can get familiar with as well. Okay, let me pop back to the module here. Come on. Okay, here we go. And so again, that preview button is right here with the little magnifying glass, your fourth button over it. Okay. Now, let's say that you have a question for which either there is no predefined table, maybe it's a question that, you know, only you care about. You know, what could that be? Let's say, for example, you want to ask, will your dependents come with you? This is just the only reason I'm showing this example is because I want to show you that you can also do, just like a predetermined list, you can actually build your own custom list with your own custom options. So in this case, you've asked, will your dependents come with you? And maybe you want those answers to be, yes, they will arrive with me. Yes, but they will arrive. They will visit later. Or no, you know, I have no dependents, or you know, or something like that. One thing you will learn, which I just made the mistake, so it divides them by comma. So if I put this comma between yes, but they will visit later, it will actually show those as two different options. So be careful with your commas. You'll learn that one after doing it 500 times. Clearly, I'm still doing it. So let me show you what that custom list will look like. And I'm going to switch screens again. Just so you get a sense that you can also build your own lists I would say, you know, in many cases, confirm that there is not a pre-existing list for your question in Synapsis already. But there'll be some cases, like, for example, very clearly, you know, this would be a question where, you know, Synapsis isn't going to have a table asking, you know, related to this specific question. So you could get that answer, yes, they will, yes, but they will visit later, for example, where you could get more information about what's going on with the dependent. So you can use that custom drop-down list to build really any list that you would like that's not already available in Synapsis. Okay. So any questions so far? Am I going too fast, or does it seem super easy?
Is everybody good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we got it. We're good.
Super. So let's say, what kind of field have we not tried yet? Another one that you will use a lot in your forms will be uploading of documents. So you know, let's say, you know, they've sent you all their paper documents and you want to upload passport. Okay. So we have indicated in the form field type that this is a file upload. Okay. You see, then we have this field that says upload file type. And what that's basically telling you is, all right, you know, you have an electronic filing system in Synapsis. And it's basically asking you, okay, when I collect this document, where do you want me to put it? Well, we know this one is quite easy. We want the passport to actually be routed to the client's passport folder. Okay, so we've set that up. Okay.
Boom! I love it. I love it. Remember that PDF structure we were talking about, you guys, that Chris is working with?
I did not send that out yet.
That's okay, but we are working on it. That's, you guys are going to decide what your file type, where things are going to go in that structure, and you're going to be able to pick that there based on what you pick where you put your PDFs to go. That's exciting to me. That's very exciting.
So let me just show you quickly. So upload passport, they have the option to choose the file and navigate from their desktop or wherever and upload the file. And when they submit the form, that file will be routed not only as part of the it'll appear with the eForm when you're managing the eForm, but it will also be transferred directly to their record for you. Okay.
Amy,
so that you will use a lot. Yeah.
Can you go over that one more time, how you would?
Sure, you bet.
The uploadable form.
So, and we'll do something sort of scholar specific too. So, all right. So let's do another. Let's say upload, you know, DS 2019. Maybe they're a transfer or something. Okay. So you've set this up as, you know, upload DS 2019. You come down to the form field type. Again, you identified this is a file upload. This type of field is a file upload field. So then you see magically appear upload file type. And what they mean by file type is, where is it going to go? Okay. You know, for your JScholar, for example, whatever, maybe it was a dependent passport. So you have to navigate through your electronic filing system to route the uploaded document to where you want it to go. Okay, so there we've just done upload DS 2019, and we've told Synapsis where to dump that record when it's submitted. So let me pop over and just show you again. One thing I will mention, I know that you're working on your PDF structure, and whoever does end up building that, you can actually, oh, I thought okay, sorry, I'm trying to, you can actually do what's called make this document client reviewable. And if you do that, this is just like, you know, if you use Gmail or your Microsoft Outlook, and let's say they upload their DS 2019. Let me just show you the difference. If you, when you're setting up your PDF structure, if you have said,
Amy, we lost that pop out for, we can't see.
Oh my gosh. Okay, when are you going to see Gmail? That would be, if you could make that happen sooner rather than later. You gotta really be on your game with this here. Okay. So, okay, so I'll pretend I'm uploading my passport then. I already uploaded the DS 2019. What you can do, so you'll see when they upload it currently, when you're building the PDF structure, you do not click the client reviewable box. These are not live links, so they can't upload it and then open the document to make sure they just uploaded the right thing. So that's kind of a recommendation that I would make. It sounds like Chris may be working on that. Is if you're okay with, and this is only in the context of the, you know, when you get to the point of you're building forms for departments and scholars, if you make these forms, these documents that they are uploading client reviewable, that basically allows them, that gives them the live link like you see in Outlook, like you see in Gmail, that allows them to open the document to review it before they submit it. So that's a nice feature. Otherwise, they will not. They will simply see what the title of the document is. Okay. So I think, yeah, we've got just time to show you two other types of functionality here that you will use a lot and which are very useful. Okay. Let's say, which one shall we do first? Let's add a new field. Let's say, so in the context of the form that you're building now, which is for internal use only, you would not necessarily need, you wouldn't necessarily be sending this to a second approver. I mean, you might. Maybe you send it, let's just pretend that you do. Let's say, you know, we're going to make this a form that we complete, but we want the department to just review it. So we're going to make this, we're going to do a second approver section real quickly, just display only. And I just want to show you how to set this up, okay? So a second approver is, again, a form where you want to route it to somebody else for review and potentially approval. So in this case, all you need to do is put a field in for approver name. You leave it as a text field, but you come down here and you indicate advisor approver name so that Synapsis knows, this is the person you want me to route this eForm to, okay? Secondarily, you need to also put the advisor email in, obviously, so that they get the link as well. So you see, you actually need to click that advisor approver email. You will want to make sure they're required so they don't get missed. And this is essentially what would trigger the email to the secondary approver when this form was completed, to have them go in and review it and or to provide their own information that you maybe are gathering under the second approver form that you've designed. Okay. All right. So I think the one last thing that I will show you, unless unless I think of anything else, would be what we call conditional logic. Conditional logic means that you can ask a question of a scholar. And again, you probably won't be using it, or you may be using it as you're building this internal form, but it is definitely something that you will use in forms in general. That you may use a question, you may ask them a question and they may give you, you may offer them 3 or 4 answers. And depending on the answer they give you, you may route them to a whole other set of questions, right? So maybe the question is, let's see. We'll go back to the spouses one because that's easy. Will you be bringing a spouse or child with you? Okay. And this we actually are going to make a yes or no question. I'll say actually when you arrive. How about that? Okay. So maybe, so we made it a yes or no option. So maybe we want to say, you know, if they say yes, we want to say, you know, please complete the the J2 dependent request form. Or you could actually have the dependent section then appear below. You know, you could say, okay, actually, since you said yes to that, why don't we gather the dependent information in this form? There's reasons you don't want to do it this way that we'll talk about later on. But let's just say in this case, they've said, yes, I have a dependent. So in that case, you want to start gathering dependent information for that DS 2019. But you only want this to appear if they have said yes. Will you be bringing a spouse or a child with you when you arrive? So you go to the conditional field here. Okay, so you're saying when this question gets answered, I want you to base whether or not this field appears, I want you to base that on whatever their answer is. And then you specify that answer. You say, if they say yes, I want this dependent information field to appear. I want dependent last name to appear, okay? Again, just to show you again how to set that up. The conditional field. Your original question is, will you be bringing a spouse or child with you when you arrive? Yes. Okay. I'm going to show you how this appears on the other end. Okay. So let's save that. So if they say no, maybe we want them to say, you know, please, you know, please contact, come on, contact our office if you need a DS 2019 for your dependents at a later time. Okay. That will just be, that's just information that we want to display for them. So we're just going to use informational display only. Okay. But again, we still have to deal with the conditional. We have to say, when do we want this information to appear? Will you be bringing a spouse or child with you when you arrive? In this case, the answer is going to be no. Okay. So let's hop back over to that preview screen. And so you can take a look at what actually is going to, how this actually appears on the Scholar end, or your end in this case. Okay. So just so you know, there's our second approver information that we built, okay? You see it's going to ask second approver name and approver name, as well as requiring a confirmation of the approver email. Okay, here's our question. Will you be bringing a spouse or child with you when you arrive? If they answer yes, then you see dependent information begins to display. If they answer no, they get a different statement, which is, please contact our office if you need a DS 2019 for your dependents at a later time. So you can imagine you can use this conditional logic to build quite complex forms. So not every question has to appear for every single scholar or every single department. That you can really get it focused so that they don't get data overload and no confusion, but they only see the questions that are relevant to them. Okay. So let me pop right back over to the module and just see if there's anything else. We got 5 minutes more. If there's anything else easy to show you quickly that I think you might have use of as you build your other form.
Margaret has a question.
Okay, great.
I'm still not sure how you indicate that it's going to be a conditional question.
Yep. So conditional, and that's actually a very good question, because there are a couple of ways that a conditional question can be created. One way the conditional question can be created, again, is if we ask a simple yes/no option. Another way a conditional question can be set up is if we say, for example, what is your current visa status? This is another good one, okay? So again, I'm going to go through this a little quickly, but this is a drop-down list, okay? This is because you can set up a conditional question based on what a client submits from a drop-down list as well. Okay, so I'm going to come down to visa, the visa table, visa status information, okay? And I'm going to say, the next screen I'm going to say is, you know, if this student says they are J1, let's say, would you like to transfer your J1 program to UC Davis? Okay, so again, that would be a yes/no question. Okay, that's the field type. But remember, we only want this question to display based on the answer they select from the question, what is your current visa status? Okay, so we're going to say if they answered J1, we want this next question to appear. So we need to go down, and you're going to see, you can do this for multiples. You know, you could have multiple, you could say, you know, they're J1 or F1. In our case, we're only going to say if they select J1, then we want this question that we set up to appear. Let me display that to you so that you see. It can be a yes/no option, can build a conditional question. A drop-down list can lead to a conditional question. That drop-down can be either the predefined one, you know, that Synapsis has built in, or the ones that you have built. Let me switch the screen over here. You can see this. So you can see the actual proof that it works that way. Okay. There we go. Okay, let me scroll down so you can see here. So we have set up the question with a drop-down list, what is your current visa status? So they get all of these options. And, you know, if they come down here and they say, well, I'm a J1 exchange visitor. And then they get the question, would you like to transfer your J1 program to UC Davis? And you know what? If they answer yes, maybe this then also becomes a conditional question. We could have other information then appear based on the answer they give to this. So the conditional logic you can really use to route people down different channels of information depending on how they answer the little trees of the questions that you ask. So the most common way, again, is going to be building a conditional question or statement off of a yes/no question. That would probably be the simplest way, or a predefined or a custom list. Those in the short term are the most common ways that you're going to use that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least in a first pass. And I know this is a lot of information. I think what we'd like to do is, you know, give you a little bit of homework so that you can turn around and then try to build something simple like this on your own, and just to give it a go, because that's how you're gonna start to integrate how all of this works together. And you also will realize how simple it is to build a simple form too. Okay. Any questions about what we went over just today, knowing that there is a lot more you can learn about eForms, but you have the ability to, you know, to build a single form. In test, you can't really break anything, so feel free to experiment when you're building these forms. If things break, it will become clear to you, and you just review what you've done. That's the best way to learn.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any final question? Okay. Okay, we're all set, Amy. Thanks so much. I'll be following it. We'll talk.
Right, awesome. Okay.
Thank you, Amy.
Okay.
Have a good one. Take care.
Bye-bye. Get this.